Partners webinar on the 10 steps to a successful CRM implementation. I'm Chad Collette. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Ledgeview Partners, and I want to thank you for joining us today to learn more about how to ensure that your selection, the implementation, and user adoption of CRM is a huge success. I want to start by answering probably the most asked question during any webinar: is this webinar being recorded? The answer is definitely yes. Then Monday, you'll be getting an email from me with a link to access this webinar on demand. We encourage you to share this with others in your company and within your network. Now, the presentation today will be about 40 minutes in length, and we'll have some time at the end for questions. But we really want this to be interactive, so if you have any questions at all along the way, we encourage you to bring them up when they pop in your head. No need to wait till the end. But to achieve the best audio quality, we have everybody in listen-only mode. So if you have a question, you can enter those into the question pane in your GoToWebinar control panel, and I'll be monitoring those throughout the presentation. Our presenter today is no stranger to CRM, and he's definitely no stranger to the oil and gas industry. Steve Raybrock is Ledgeview's main CRM product consultant and implementation guru for all the implementations that we do for the oil and gas industry. And he oversees the development of our CRM for oil and gas product that many people on the webinar today have already seen. Now, if by chance you've not seen this, I really and highly encourage you to check it out. It's a fantastic out-of-the-box industry solution that's being utilized by petroleum marketers across the country. With all the implementations we've done here at Ledgeview, and that Steve has specifically done for oil and gas marketers, we've been able to identify the key areas that are critical for success and where many companies often fall short when working with another vendor or doing it themselves. So what kind of CRM experience do you want your users to have? Steve's going to give you his top 10 areas that are very important to ensure that not only is your ROI realized, but really the user adoption is positive, and instead of frowns from your CRM users, you're seeing smiles and positive results instead. So Steve, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Just got back from a couple of days down in Houston at the Chevron corporate office. We did a wave meeting with some of the, I think it was 4 marketers who were going through Project Transform. So a lot of traveling the last couple of days. Not much rest, so my voice is a little bit hoarse, but I think we're going to do fine today.
Wonderful.
All right, so let's get going. Let's talk about 10 steps that are going to help with a good system, CRM system implementation. And the first thing is, I'm kind of going with the assumption that you've already determined, CRM is something we need, right? You know the benefits of a CRM. You've probably done a lot of research, maybe worked with us on helping with that decision. And then the next big decision for you to make really is, do I want an industry solution product, something that's done already, or do I want to start with a vanilla CRM and then create what I need? So there's pluses and minuses to both. Our company actually does both. I work with, like Chad said, the industry-ready solution. So it's a product that's done. You don't have to worry about doing design. We just have to configure it to work for your system, get it set up with, to make it look and feel like your company, and you're good to go. If you start with vanilla CRM, you get obviously the basic vanilla functionality of any CRM, but then you usually would work with a consulting firm to design and customize it to fit your needs. So what are the pluses and minuses of each? So if you start with vanilla, the big plus is you're going to end up getting exactly what you need. Maybe the negative to that is it's going to cost more in both dollars and time. I mean, if you get a vanilla CRM and go through a design process and an implementation, you're heavily involved. So it's going to cost more money and more time, but again, you are going to end up with exactly what you want. If you get a finished product, an industry-ready solution, the pluses to that are you're going to spend less time and less money, so that means you're going to get it up and running much faster, and typically, and I'll say typically because this is the way it is with us, but maybe not everybody, but typically if you do that, you're going to end up working with a partner who has industry knowledge. so they'll know something about what your company does, not just about the software they sell. So those are all the positives to getting an industry-ready solution, a finished product. What would I say is the negative? Well, the negative is you might not get exactly what you want. The product is done. Here's how it works. Hopefully, it meets 98, 99% of your needs, and you can live with that. So you save a lot of money, you save a lot of time, but you don't get exactly what you need. So that's your first big strategic decision. That's step one. There are some ancillary things that go right along with that, but that's the biggie, and that is really, do you want to go with a cloud-based solution or an on-premise solution? So the big thing there is, how big is your organization? Do you have an IT department? Do you have a data center? Do you really need to go on-premise and get more servers and worried about upgrades and worried about backing up the data, or do you want to go with a cloud-based solution and have somebody else take care of all that? Another thing to think about is internal CRM administrator and support. Who in your organization can do that? So while you're making these decisions and thinking about who you're going to partner with and what role everybody's going to play, how does that fit into the equation? You want to make sure if you don't have this expertise and don't want it, that you're going to partner with somebody and just make sure that you have that addressed, the support. And then these last three bullets are things that I kind of covered with that top point, and that's, how much time do you have to go live? How many internal resources are you going to have available? Time and people to help work on the project, and then, what's your overall budget? So step one, a lot of things to consider as you're getting started, making your decision and what to move forward with CRM. All right. Number two, we touched on this briefly with item number one there, but really partner with an experienced vendor. So do your research on this. Call people who've worked with that vendor, some of their customers. Maybe you've got some peers who are actually involved. These are this slide over here on the right. Those are all the folks I deal with. So, I might be able to tell you all kinds of good things about our product, but talk to these people. They're going to tell you exactly how it's working for them and what they're doing. So whatever you pick, don't go it alone. Select the right vendor and do your research. Make sure, if you can, make sure they have industry experience. Like I said, talk to your peers. And if anybody tells you that, hey, we've done this before, we can get this up and running for you, we don't want you to be involved that much, it's not going to take you much time, either you're not going to get what you want, or you're going to get pulled in more than what they're saying. I mean, you are involved in this process. So pick the right vendor. All right. Now that you've got the vendor and you figured out the solution you wanted, now you've got to think about who should be on this team, because as we said, this is a project. This isn't like buy the software and get it up and running, especially if you went the vanilla route and you're going to do a design project and then go through a big implementation. You're going to want the right people involved. And one of the key mistakes I see folks make is they'll look at who's available within the organization to help with this project. And you can't do it that way. You have to make sure you get the right people. The people are going to be involved with CRM for the long haul. And if they're busy and don't help with the foundation of it, it's just not going to be good when they go live and they don't get what they want. So it could take weeks and months for you to get going on a system. Our industry-ready solution that we do, our typical time frame from a kickoff meeting of the project to go live, I would say averages right around the 10-week mark. We have done some faster. We've done it as little as 6 weeks, and obviously some go longer than 10 weeks. So make sure you pick the right project team. I would say the other thing there on that team is it's not just a group of people who are going to get CRM up and running, is you really need somebody to own CRM. So what do I mean by that? CRM isn't a product that you just install and get up and running and then, people just start using it. It doesn't work that way. It's not like, installing your payroll system or your accounting software where, those folks who are, involved with that part of the business just know that, that's the tool they have to use. CRM sometimes, for some users, can be a tough sell. So you need somebody to just champion the product, Know that this is going to be a change to your culture. Things are going to change for the users of CRM. Their jobs are going to change quite a bit. And then the other thing that CRM offers, which sometimes is a big positive, but people might look at this as a negative, is I hear this word transparency quite a bit. Some folks might say Big Brother is watching. Well, you just have to have that conversation with the folks who are going to be using CRM. Look, this is a tool to help you function, do your job, make you quicker. Maybe we don't have to have as many meetings because the information is going to be in CRM, which that means that information is transparent, right? The boss can see what I'm working on, what I'm doing, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. But you just have to call these things out, and then the bottom bullet there is just constant communication with the project team, with the folks who are going to end up using CRM. Just a lot of project management 101 stuff here, but it's really important for a CRM project to become successful. All right.
Hey, Steve.
So, yes, go ahead.
Steve, we had a question come in. On that project team, you talked about the product, our product lasting about 10 weeks in terms of an implementation. How does that compare to a vanilla, someone were to go a vanilla or built from the ground up kind of method?
Oh, good question. So I don't work a lot in the vanilla world, but we do have a lot of consultants here who do, and I work with them somewhat. So I'll hear things like the design project itself could take, 2 to 3 months, depending on how complicated the system is. So remember, you're meeting under a consultant would have to understand what you want to do, go through the whole product to figure out what changes you want to make and get that all designed, and everybody agrees on the design. And then once the design is done, then there's like a second phase to that, and that is to actually make all them changes to the vanilla CRM. So then we get developers involved, and then we do an implementation project, and then right at the end of the implementation would be training. And again, depending on the size of it, that could be another 2, 3, 4 months. We've done bigger ones. So I would say if you started with a finished product, I would talk in terms of a couple months, maybe 2 to 3. If you talk in terms of starting vanilla, it could be 6 months, and that usually gets you on your first project of the vanilla. And then what will happen is you'll find other things that you want, and then you'll just have another phase and another phase and another phase. So typically it just keeps going as you come up with new ideas for the product. So a couple months versus maybe 6 months is kind of a generic answer, I guess.
Hey, thanks a lot, Steve.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so you're about to start this project now. So you've got a vendor, you've got the product you want, you've decided on vanilla versus a finished product. In any case, this is just more project management stuff, but you have to have a kickoff meeting. Don't just let everybody just take off and do their thing. When we do our finished product implementations, our project, if you will, I actually start out with a 2-day kickoff meeting. We just get the team, not all the users, just the team that's going to work on the project in a room for 2 days, and we go through everything. So if you started with vanilla, those couple of days would probably be about design. If you start with a finished product, that is showing the product that you bought, all the decisions we have to make to get it humming just the way you want it to work. So that's what we do. So some basic things about a kickoff meeting, right? You wanna get the team excited. You definitely need to have a plan. You're going to assign tasks to everybody, set expectations, and then really to stay on track, you should just touch base every week. Maybe it's only 10 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes. Go through a little status report. Where are we at with our tasks? Are we behind? How are we doing? And then continuing to update, the end users as to where we're at, and maybe starting to plan some training. So don't underestimate, the necessity for a project kickoff meeting to make sure everybody, has the same message. All right, now you're working on a project and you're trying to figure out everything that you need to do. One of the biggest things that sometimes people will even put off, believe it or not do, is this concept of data migration and data integration. So migration is just, what do we want to, on a one-time basis, just dump into CRM? So if you have any data that you just want brought in there to save you some time, do that. That's usually kind of common, but where people miss the mark, I think, is on data integration. And so what do I mean by that? Your accounting system has lots of valuable information. I always refer to a company's accounting system as their Bible. I mean, that's the lifeblood of your company. So why not tap into that data in CRM? So one of the things we recommend, and one of the things that we do for our oil and gas finished product, is we tie into the accounting system, to the back office, to pull over accounts, products, price list information, any account notes, and then the invoice data. And we do that every night. We have a process for that, so it takes a little effort. But once you have this scheduled, now CRM, at least from those 5 files, matches what's in your back office. So now you can have CRM where you've got your pipeline information, all your opportunities, your leads, your activities, all the standard stuff with CRM, plus any customization you've done. Plus now you've got access not only just to your prospect accounts, but you've got your current book of business, your active accounts right in CRM, the products you sell. The invoice data is going to show you, what your customers have been buying. So now you've got everything all in one place. I do see people who agree that, they should have their active book of business, their active accounts in CRM, but they don't go through this exercise. They manually enter them into CRM. And so, now we're definitely breaking the rule of one version of the truth. So you could have an account in CRM that, is supposed to match, the account in your back office, but it doesn't, because you're really entering them in 2 different places. So obviously, the information might not match. So the other thing that I find, at least with a lot of my clients, is when you pull this data out of the back office or out of the accounting system and you give it to CRM users, and I deal with mostly salespeople, they're now getting access to information they may have never had or had a hard time getting. So, I'll go into training and I'll show them some of the screens, some of the things that we have in our CRM, and they're just like, wow, I have all this at my fingertips now. So the beauty of that is, they're just going to have more information, and that's going to even make them, more efficient and save them a lot of time. So just to kind of show you, I'm going to kind of stray from the PowerPoint for a second, so I'm going to get out of this, and I'm just going to actually just jump up just into our CRM. So this is just a training world in our CRM for oil and gas, so it's a finished product, and this just happens to be a basic account list. So this is my active accounts, and what am I seeing on here? All these accounts with account numbers would have come from a back office. So none of this stuff had to be entered or doesn't have to be kept updated in CRM because it's just managed by the accounting system. Anything with an account number that says, actually it says CRM account only, that means that these accounts are really just my prospects. They're only in CRM. So what happens when I finally land this account and it gets put into my back office system, it gets an account number, somebody goes into CRM and just changes this. They fill in the account number, and now this record in CRM is magically tied to your back office. So any changes to your back office for this account, any invoice data that comes in, it's all going to be tied to this customer. So that's one thing you can do. I'll just pull up one account here just to show you some other things that you can do, with the information in a CRM product. So I'll just pull up an account, and one of the things that's very popular is, what a customer has been buying from me. So if I have CRM, I have access to this, I'm about to call on an account. Again, if I don't have easy access to this information in my back office, but I now have CRM, right, I can pull up the account and I have basic account information, nothing fancy here. But one of the things that we've added, if I scroll down, is this little box here seems very popular. What we've done is we've taken the last 12 months of invoice data, order history data from the accounting system, and we've just summarized it by product, and then we sorted it by the product the customer bought the most of down to the product the customer bought the least of. One of the things I always find interesting when I show this to customers when we roll it out, I think this is kind of a cool chart, and they go, yeah, that's great, but what's really helpful, what really jumps out at them when they're looking at this is which products aren't here. So if they're buying all of these, they probably should be buying that other product. They're probably selling that, so why aren't they buying it from me? And they could just, open their eyes to a potential opportunity. So that's kind of cool. Some people are a little bit more graphical, so we also show you a lot of these numbers graphically. Again, a CRM tool can do that very easily. So we've generated some charts where, again, it's going to analyze that order history information, that invoice data, and we can reflect things like gross profit, revenue units. We actually even do some share of wallet analysis. But what this is doing is just showing me, so far, how is this account doing for gross profit so far this year to date, so I'm based on my fiscal year, and how were they doing at this point in my fiscal year last year. So you can see this account's gross profit's gone down a little bit. Early on in your fiscal year, there might not be very many numbers here, so it's not very valuable. So this chart over here is showing me the most recent 12 months to the 12 months before that. So again, year to date, and then this is a 12-month comparison. And then we break down those charts by what we call product segment. So here's how that customer's doing for gross profit, for antifreeze, grease, heavy duty, industrial. And this would match, your product segment. So this is just an example. And then again, like I said, we've got revenue. I could tab over here on units, and I basically get the same charts, but I'm looking at units, volume versus gross profit. One other thing I'll show you while I'm over here, I might as well do it quick, is we can analyze really just then how's your company doing. And then if you want to set goals, what gets measured gets done, you can set goals against your actuals and do some drill down. So we have some charts that actually will show, in this case I'm looking at how's the overall company gross profit doing so far this year, and that's what the bar is. And then these diamonds are just your quarterly goals. So if I'm about 3 months into the year, I'm right on. If I'm 4 or 5 months into the year, I'm behind. Obviously, if I'm not 3 months into the year, I'm doing pretty good. I'm ahead of schedule. So that's just how my company's doing, and if I click on this, it drills down into how my company's doing based on then how are my departments doing. You might call them profit centers or divisions. We just happen to use the word department. But these would be your departments listed here. And again, these diamonds represent goals. So the goals really aren't set at the company and department level. They're set very granularly at a salesman level. So this salesman should generate this much gross profit for this department, and this product segment. And then we can roll all that up into these diamonds. Because as I drill down into lubricants, it's going to show me the product segments that I sell. And then if I drill down into that, it's going to show me the salespeople who are generating that gross profit, again, against their goal. And if I drill down even any further, it'll go down to the account level. But I think I'll stop right there. But these are just some of the advantages of pulling in data from your back office system. And the good news with a finished product is you don't have to do the work. You don't have to do the design of these charts and these dashboards. They're done already. We just have to get the data integration going, set some goals, and these things just come to life. The development is done already. So a lot of positives with tying into your back office. These are just a couple. I could show you dozens and dozens of reports and other dashboards and things you can do at the account level to just reiterate that. But definitely make sure you pull the data you need out of your back office and get it into CRM. All right, let me jump back to the slides here for a second. Chad, how are we doing on time?
Doing great, Steve.
Doing great. Okay, any questions at this point, or are we good?
Still doing great, Steve.
All right, perfect. All right, I am going to continue on. So I think I beat this one to death, but this one, a lot of people get scared by this, and it is, I'm not going to say it's easy. I mean, there's technical issues you may run across, but it's definitely worth it. I mean, integrate with your back office. All right, moving on. I have the right tools for the right job. Okay, hardware and software. This is such an easy one for people to just kind of slide by, and I've had it happen. And now I'm very cautious when I work with the IT team at a company, because whatever software you get, the vendor for that software is going to have some recommended requirements for your hardware, for your operating system, for the software to run properly. And, I've had folks say, hey, we got all new laptops, we're good to go. And I made the mistake of trusting them, because their definition of a new laptop was we got all new laptops 5 years ago. Well, things change a lot faster now. So a 5-year-old laptop may not run new software. As a matter of fact, a lot of it won't. So what we do now is we actually require our customers to give us a list of the devices and their specifications. So what's the operating system, how much memory do they have, what CPU are they using, all that stuff, and we actually compare it to the requirements of the software we're going to help them use. We just want to make sure that a user is going to have a good experience, because if they have old equipment and the product is slow, or they time out, they're getting error messages, they're going to think the software is no good, when the software might be great, right? You may have picked a perfect product, but you just didn't install it on the right hardware or operating system, if you will. So I guess a couple horror stories I could share with you. I shared one already. Another one was as far as the installs go, instead of having the IT department do it, the owner's child happened to be home on summer break from college, and thought, well, they had some time, so why don't I have them go around and do the installs? Well, yeah, they could actually do an install, but they're not going to notice anything that might not be right? So just get the right people involved. Don't cut corners. You'll appreciate that later. You just won't know the problems you can run across, because, we've seen that here. So we want to make sure we avoid that. We want to do that right moving forward. All right. User adoption. User adoption is a biggie. I mentioned installing CRM is different than a lot of other softwares you might have installed. So that whole theme of, if you build it, they will come. In many cases with CRM, that is false. If you're going to roll this out to 10, 20, 30 users, there's going to be some who are just excited. I would say the people who get most excited, believe it or not, are the new people to an organization, because they've had trouble learning some other software. They don't know a lot about your customers or whatever, and a CRM can be a tool that's going to make their job just a lot easier. Well, if you have a very mature sales team, or just a group of folks who've been around a long time and they're kind of set in their ways, CRM to them is going to be a big change. And this is that culture change we talked about earlier. So a couple of key things just to point out when we talk about user adoption is make sure you have a vision and everybody understands that vision. Why are we getting CRM? Just answer that question. How does it fit into our strategy for our organization? What is this going to do for management? What is this going to do for an end user? And make sure those folks know what their role is. What am I expected to do? Okay, I've been selling, my whole life this way, or I've been doing marketing this way, and now we have this new tool called CRM. What do you expect from me? Well, have clearly set expectations, and don't expect everything at once either, right? This is an ongoing process. It's a new tool. It's going to change your culture. It's going to change people. So you're probably going to want to have kind of a phased-in approach. The product can be all ready to go, but let's work on this, and this the next 6 weeks. And once we kind of have that down, then we're going to move into this, and then we're going to move into that. And just have a really good plan. Get everybody on board. Get them excited, and don't stop, because it's it's an ongoing process. All right.
Hey, Steve?
Yeah?
I had a question come in. What's the biggest user adoption issue that you've seen?
Okay, so user adoption issues. I guess I would probably answer that two ways. So I know they asked for the biggest, but it's probably a combination. So one of the things that you'll find, and you got to be looking for this, right? Everybody seems to look for the positive, but if I was a manager of this or working on kind of rolling this out with a vendor, I think there could be a handful of users in my group who just from the get-go have had their mind made up that they're just not going to do this. They're hoping it's the program of the week, it's going to go away, and they're just going to play along and kind of act like they get it and they're excited. but really they're not. And you've got to try to kind of read that. And I can kind of read it when I'm doing training. I can just almost tell, based on the questions people are asking, and they are thinking, what am I going to do tomorrow? Because I've got to use this system. Where other people will just kind of coast and ask kind of generic questions, and that they're not into it. So you've got to watch out for them people, keep an eye on them, and then really, what are you going to do about that? So there are usually some users like that, and that gets to be a touchy issue, but you just have to know that could happen, and then you have to, be ready for, how you're going to handle that. The other one is more, I would say that first answer was kind of from the user's perspective. The other one is really from the other side. It's the user doesn't get enough direction, and they're not held accountable by management. So if you're going to let me get away with not using it, well, why should I? So that's where that holding people accountable, setting direction, following through, probably having some, one-on-one meetings, every week or two with how things are going, maybe having some group meetings, some follow-up training, but you just got to keep moving on it. And I would say from the day you go live, the next 4 to 6 weeks are the most important. If you just keep pounding it and keep pounding it and keep pounding it for the next 4 to 6 weeks after you go live, people are going to realize that, hey, this is really happening. So I hope that answered the question. All right. So moving on, item number 8, I would say another big thing is to make this nice for your users is to let them access CRM anywhere, anytime. So, a lot of times CRM, when they talk about the cloud-based, you're going to have access to CRM through the web. So usually that means you can access CRM from just about any device that has access to the internet. So that makes it very convenient, right? I'm on my laptop, I'm in Starbucks, I'm in the office, I'm at home. I can get to CRM, and that works great. There are other tools that integrate right with Outlook. So if I'm in my email program, right, I'm in my calendar program, I'm in Outlook, I can also get at some CRM data and do my job. What we're seeing a lot more of now is accessing CRM on a different device, an iPad, maybe on their iPhone. I know for our oil and gas product, we told our customers way back when everybody was screaming for something on their phone, and then within the last, I would say, 2 years, the main push has been, the phone's too small. We want something on the iPad, and here's what we want to be able to do on the iPad. So we took all that feedback, and we created an iPad app for our oil and gas product, and you can do just about every function a salesperson would do, in CRM off of the web or off of Outlook. They can do that on their iPad. There are a few limitations because an iPad, can only do so much, but that's what we did. Other vendors and other products might have it available, on a phone, on an Android, on an iPhone, iPad, whatever. But we focused on the iPad. I would think the gotcha here is just because somebody says, yes, you can use it, on a mobile device, find out exactly what functionality you have on the mobile device. Because some of them you can only view. Some of them you can only do, basic maintenance. So maybe you can only change an account or change a contact, but you can't, manage an opportunity or add an activity. So just be careful that it meets, the requirements. Just because they say it's, we have an app, make sure you analyze the app, because the app is going to function differently than the base tool. And then the other thing that we did on our iPad app is it's strictly an offline tool. So what does that mean? That means when you're connected to the internet, you have to hit a sync button, and all the data from CRM goes down to your iPad. The beauty of taking that couple minutes each day to sync is now you take your iPad with you, and you are rock solid fast and productive. So you don't have to be connected to the internet, so you don't have to worry about any connection speed or anything like that. Plus you're on an iPad. So you're just tapping away and functioning at the speed of your iPad. As a matter of fact, I have my iPad hooked up to this, so I'm going to see if I can get this to work. Let me just try something once. I've got my iPad over here. I'm going to see if this works. So If you're seeing this, Chad, are you seeing my iPad right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I have the app loaded, so I'm just going to tap on the app. So right now I'm just on my iPad app, and this happens to be the home page I get. So when I go into the iPad, it's kind of telling me I haven't did the sync for a while. As I said, I was out of town for a few days. But anyway, this home page just shows me some dashboard, shows me some opportunity information, and all of these charts here, we have this little gear. So these are all configurable. You can have, if you don't want opportunities here, maybe you want your leads listed here, we could, you can do that. But then down on the bottom is some navigation. Up on top is a global search. So I could do things like right here, I could go to my account. So I'm just going to tap on accounts. So I'm out in the field, not connected to the internet. I have this right in front of me. It's just this fast. I could tap here on this search, and I could search for that account I had up before. So I search for that, and I'll tap on Fairview Manufacturing, and it's going to open up that account just like it would have in CRM, except now I'm standing, maybe I'm out in my truck in front of Fairview Manufacturing. But before I go in, I want to analyze, what kind of customer they are for us. I can scroll up here and get all that account information we talked about before. So address, maybe information isn't so important, but some of their credit information, their AR information. But then the other cool thing is once I'm looking at the account, I can easily look at the opportunities I'm working for them, any order history. So these are the actual line items on an invoice. So the last time they bought for me was January 5th. Here's how much they paid, here's how much they bought, here's how much revenue it produced, how much gross profit. And I can scroll through, what they've been buying from me. I was looking at the dashboard. Any quotes I have, any activities I have with them. What else do I have here? Any notes that are in the system for Fairview. I could look at the contacts for them. So I could do that. Here's that product, a 12-month product summary. So here's, again, the product over the last 12 months, the product they bought the most of, down to the product they bought the least of. So I'm just tapping through on my iPad here, and I have access to all of this for this account. At any point, I could click on any of these. I could add an opportunity, add a note, add an activity, add a contact, add some competitor share a wallet. I can do all that right here from my iPad, and then when I sync, it'll take everything that I did on my iPad and push it up to CRM, and take anything that was new in CRM and push it down to me, to my iPad. So anyway, just thought I'd show you that. But again, the key is to be able to actually do some maintenance, not just look at stuff. So maybe I'll just see if I can risk it here, and I'm just going to go to my opportunities, and I'll just tap on this one and see what I get. So I just opened up an opportunity, and our opportunities look the same here in CRM as they do on the iPad, but here's like the different sales stages the opportunity can be in, and I could easily just advance this to the next stage in the sales process. I could scroll down here, and I could, maybe I have a better idea on when I'm going to close this. I could update the close date and just hit save, and I'm doing this right on the fly, basically as fast as I can do it on my iPad. And then I sync, and everybody who has access to CRM now has access to this information because I just did the sync. So, all right, enough of that. Let's minimize that and get back to the PowerPoint. All right, moving on. Item number 9, training. So training, obviously you want to have a training plan, and you want to have a good experience for your users. So, here's what it looks like this Confucius say, I hear it, I forget it, I see it, I remember it, I do it, I understand it. Well, when I do the training, I do all three because everybody learns different. So we talk about a function and maybe how to navigate, how to use the iPad, whatever. We talk about it, then I demonstrate it, and then everybody flips open their iPad or their laptop, and then they do it. There's exercises. So when you do your training, make sure you train all different ways so by the time the team is done, they know how to do it. But before you get to that training, make sure you've got everything ready to go and you've tested it and the data's right and the laptops are right and things have been tested, because again, you're only going to get that one time to have the user get a really good experience. So we want them, to come into training, see it, get excited about all the things it's going to do for them, have it function properly, and then, as soon as training is over, you're live and they're ready to go. So you just want to keep that momentum going. And then make sure that, offer continual training. If people are stuck, offer them one-on-one, do some retraining, have a clear training plan for new employees, and then make sure you party, right? Celebrate when you're done and bring in lunch, whatever, to get the team excited and keep it moving forward. Just a couple of things I'll point out that we do, at least for training, that you might consider. One of the things that we would do is create some type of quick reference guide. So just some screenshots with some pointers to say, here's how things might look if you're using Outlook. What are some other things? So here's maybe an example of how you would enter a lead in the system and how you'd qualify a lead. So even a definition of a lead. So it's just basically going step by step, click to add a new lead, fill in these fields, hit the save button, boom, boom, to qualify a lead, you do this. We had a whole section on opportunities. And quotes are quite complicated. We have like a whole page set up in our quick reference guide for our product for quotes. So quick reference guides are kind of nice. What else do I have here? We also do, usually if there's a sales team involved, we try to show the sales process kind of graphically, if you will. So here's your sales process across the top, and here's how you use CRM now to navigate through that sales process. So again, starting out with a lead, creating accounts, prospect accounts, contacts, opportunities, working that opportunity through the sales process. And you kind of use this as a guide as you're training people. So again, everybody learns differently. So the more tools you can put out there, the better. I think the last one I'll point out that's been just very popular with a lot of our customers is in our CRM, we have about 10 or, it's probably about 20. We have 20 videos. So if you hire somebody new or somebody just forgot or somebody in the organization is new to CRM, we've got 10, 15, 20-minute videos out there. So here's a 13-minute video just about basic navigation. How do I maneuver in CRM? How do I do the sales process? How do I create a quote? So making videos is something that might help your team out as well, and that's already in our finished product. So that's kind of cool as well. All right. All right. So we kind of touched on this throughout, but I just want to reiterate it that once you go live with CRM, that's just the beginning, right? You've gone through all this work. You want to just take a break, right? I took forever to pick a product, then pick a vendor, then get it up and running, right? Get everything tested and working. Then you train everybody. And now I'm telling you, now the real work starts. Well, maybe this is the real fun work, right? So now you've got a neat tool. You've got some users who are excited, some maybe who need some more coaching. Some maybe need the, their direction restated. So just realize that it is an ongoing effort. It's live, but it's really never done. You just got to just keep going and going and going. Like I said, break it out into phases if you have to, so you can slowly introduce new features. And your team, hopefully, when they get excited about it, they might even come up with new ideas for your CRM and introduce some of them. So a lot of cool stuff there. So that's the big wrap up. So in summary then, I would, I guess before I do this, Chad, is there any last questions before I wrap up and turn it over to you?
Not right now, Steve.
Okay, good. So where do most people go wrong? So we covered, 10 bullets. What are like my big takeaways? I would say I've got 5. And the first one is just in that selection process, and that's the CRM, the vendor, a finished product versus starting with vanilla. So just that selection process, don't take that lightly, right? Do your research. And then the next 4 are more, the big ones that I talked about earlier. No data integration, right? It's just so important to go through that exercise and get that done. It's going to cost a little bit, but it's worth it. That's actually part of our product. When we sell our product, you get data integration. So that's kind of cool that that's done if you get a finished product. There's still work involved to, get the data in there, but the technology to get it done has all been figured out. So that's good. Poor user adoption. Don't take that lightly. Remember that if you build it, they will come. I mean, some of them won't. So pay attention to that. People take that for granted. They'll just say, well, I'll just make them use it. I'll just make them use it. It's funny how it's just not that easy. right? It's effort to make them use it. And then no focus on hardware readiness, right? Just make sure your hardware meets the recommended requirements. And then the biggest one of all is number 5 here, and that is nobody really owns CRM. If that's true, if you see that coming, just stop right now, because you are wasting your time and money, because CRM is just going to go away if nobody owns it, nobody's in charge of it, nobody's going to keep it moving, nobody's going to hold people accountable. That is my absolute biggest one right there. And I've seen it a couple times, and I've learned from that. So I make sure all these gotchas are handled as we're moving along with the project. So with that, Chad, I think I'm going to slide it back to you for a quick wrap-up.
Thanks, Steve. Really appreciate that. There were some fantastic tips in there. And I want to remind everyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to punch those into the question area in your GoToWebinar control panel. Before we close out, I do want to give a brief overview of Ledgeview Partners for those evaluating CRM or looking for some assistance to get back on track. The very best way to see who and what Ledgeview is all about is to watch our 90-second video located on our homepage at ledgeviewpartners.com. Ledgeview Partners, we focus on CRM, and CRM is all that we do. We focus on that customer relationship management. When Ledgeview started, a conscious decision was made to not be all things to all companies, but be very, very good at one thing, and like I said, customer relationship management. Ledgeview is a Microsoft Dynamics CRM Gold Certified Partner and a Salesforce.com Cloud Alliance Partner. We're a member of the President's Club, Inner Circle, and Partner Advisory Council for Microsoft Dynamics. But more important for the accolades of Microsoft are the great relationships we've built with our loyal customers over the years, lots of oil and gas marketers, as well as many across several industries, manufacturing, distribution. And that's really what drives Ledgeview Partners and is reflected in our 98% customer retention rate as an overall company, which is our favorite statistics. So, I do want to remind everyone that we'll be sending you a recorded version of today's webinar. You can watch that for your inbox. If you do have any questions, if you need assistance, you're looking to expand your CRM functionality as it is today, or if you'd like a full demonstration of our CRM for oil and gas product, or the iPad app that goes along with it that Steve showed briefly, Kevin Brown's your guy to contact. His picture, his contact information is all up on your screen right now. So even if you've seen it in the past, I really encourage you to check it out again. Last fall we had a major navigation upgrade. It provided a whole new look and feel, and we do quarterly enhancements to the product. These enhancements that come directly from our users that just continuously make the product much better for the users. So give Kevin a call. Once again, thank you very much for your time today and your interest in making sure that CRM is a success. And on behalf of everyone at Ledgeview Partners, have a fantastic day, and thank you very much.